Hey, what's up, people? This is Ike Love, creator of the blog, The Viable Alternative, which is an inspirational blog where I share the wisdom and insights gained along the path of becoming a greater, stronger version of myself. If you want to read more on the blog, um, you can click on under the window where it says description, and you see a link for www.theviablealternative.com. So it's like late at night here. It's like almost 3 o'clock in the morning, and I don't have my contacts on, so I usually don't like recording videos unless I have my contacts on, so I can be looking straight at the screen. But anyway, so this week what I want to talk about is it's kind of a little bit of a departure where I usually talk about, but it's my beef with Black Lives Matter and All Lives Matter. Hashtag Black Lives Matter and hashtag All Lives Matter. My beef with both of them. And before I start this whole conversation, I just want to preface this with saying that I have no political affiliation or ideology. I'm neither a conservative or a liberal. And in fact, I think it's kind of quite preposterous how like holistic human beings align their entire utter view of how they see the world under a certain belief structure. I mean, like, it's like if you're a conservative in this country, you're automatically against the theory of climate change. And if you're a liberal, you're for climate change. And I just think it's just dumb. I mean, like, people don't research anything. If they have a certain political view, this is what they believe in. And for goodness sake, just like research, for goodness sake. Like, there are some things I agree with conservatives on, some things I think about the liberals on. And it really is just the variable or the standard is me and what I feel resonates with me and what lines with the truth. So anyway, Black Lives Matter. And there's a lot of controversy about Black Lives Matter. And on a certain level, I understand the protests of Black Lives Matter, and I think they have a legitimate gripe. The whole thing about the higher percentage of unarmed blacks, especially black men, being gunned down by police, makes a case for the fact that you want to say that Black Lives Matter just as much as White Lives Matter. The second thing is also the fact that if you look at the criminal justice system, you find that a black person has a higher likelihood of getting committed of the same crime a white person has a higher likelihood of getting convicted of the same crime committed by a white person, and also getting a higher sentence. And so in the media and stuff like that, when you see a black person doing a crime and a white person doing a crime, black people tend to get less sympathy. They're automatically labeled as criminals, whereas a white person will be labeled as, oh, well, give him a chance, he had a hard life. Like, for instance, now we saw the shooter in that church, I think it was in Charleston, I forgot what part it was, where the cops took him to Burger King before, after gunning down like 9 people in the church. He was taken to Burger King. I mean, it shows a little humanization of this guy, whereas if it was a black criminal, he would just been thrown a halt into jail, no sympathy. But so this is the background of why people say Black Lives Matter too. So I understand the protest. Black Lives Matter believe that Black Lives Matter just as White Lives Matter, which is true. And I get it. But I just have a couple of, is it plural beefs? Beefs with this Black Lives Matter. And the first beef I have with Black Lives Matter comes from the fact that if you actually go to www.blacklivesmatter.org and you actually read the site thoroughly, which I did, the site is very anti-heterosexual black male, very anti-black male. And you get the indication it's run by the LGBT community, which is nothing wrong with that. Everybody has their own views. Whatever you do behind closed doors or love it, I don't care, But the only time, other than the pictures of the people that were killed by cops, the only other places mentioned they make of straight black men is in a negative light about how they victimize women, how they victimize homosexuals and stuff like that. There's nothing else positive said about black men. And in addition, they have this utopian view of their society, what they want to create, and it's basically made up of single-parent households and same-sex households. Again, whatever you want to do is your business, but the fact of the matter is, in your utopian vision, you just don't see any black males in your vision, which tells me that number one, you have animosity towards black males, and number two, you're only willing to use black males to further your cause of your utopian society by showing those people that are gunned down by cops. I am totally against that. Totally, completely against that. So I don't really support Black Lives Matter. The second beef I have with Black Lives Matter is that it's funded by a white liberal, George Soros. And to me, it speaks to the narrative of black people always needing someone else from another group to speak for them and to fund them, and not having their own causes that they have from their own grassroots from the ground up. You have a man who is funding the Black Lives Matter organization, and therefore, when you fund something, you get to tell them what to do. And it's my whole beef with the black people in this country about constantly depending on white liberals to give them an agenda. Constantly having this blind association to white liberals, who I think actually completely, utterly, what's that word? They completely utterly exploit the black vote and the black loyalty. And it speaks to me about the paternalistic relationship that the black community has with white liberals. Now, white liberals have done some good. Obviously, they fight for black rights, but obviously, they don't really. I've never heard any narrative of white liberals supporting black economic empowerment. They only support black people in their right to vote because obviously they want to cattle black people off, herd them like cattle to go and support black people, support them in their elections. And so completely have beef with that sentiment, you know. I think the black people need to come in this country with their own agenda funded by themselves, so they're not told what to do. Now, my other beef with Black Lives Matter, and it started from a conversation I had with a very good friend of mine who, I like this guy because this guy thinks like me. He doesn't like to sit around complaining about being a victim of racism or blah, blah, blah. You know, racism exists, but how you choose to respond to it is up to you. And, you know, he thinks a lot like me, you know, questions stuff, you know. And one day he says to me, you know, what do you think about Black Lives Matter? And I told him my views, like I explained here before, about, you know, the just cause for it and the seeds that sprouted this movement. And he said to me, you know, I actually think the whole movement is weak. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And he's like, yo, how are you going to sit here protesting something that you should already know? It's like you're coming from a victim standpoint when you're saying, oh, Black Lives Matter, you know. It's like, you know, why do you need to let another group know something that you should intrinsically know yourself, that your life matters? It's kind of like he said, coming from the standpoint that, oh, please stop victimizing us, stop bullying us, you know. This doesn't come from a place of strength. And I thought about this. And I thought about this in the sense I listened to this other guy named Boyce Watkins, and he also, he's actually, I like him because he's about economic empowerment and not being a victim and not depending on the white man for a job, which again, I have no beef with white people. A lot of my, the story, a lot of my best friends are white. No, some of my close friends who I count as brothers are white. And shoot, I would marry someone white if I felt that if we gelled, you know? So it's not about an anti-white thing. It's just about a black empowerment. I mean, let everybody sit at the table as equals, not people coming begging for the scraps or the leftovers on the table, which is what I think black people do in this country. So Boyce Watkins said the same thing. He just said that, you know, it's just weak. And, you know, I still stand by the fact that I understand where it comes from. But the whole thing about the history of black people in this country is that, you know, obviously black people were victimized for, 246 years of slavery. And then 100 years of Jim Crow and then mass incarceration. What was my original point of saying that? Yeah, I understand all that, you know, but like, it's like, okay, you have an oppressor that's going to oppress you. Sitting here protesting, saying treat us fairly, stop bullying us, is just like weak. It's not going to change. You're not going to stop bullying you because you're taking out plaques and saying Black Lives Matter, hands up, don't shoot, you know. It's not going to change. It's like telling the antelope telling the lion, stop hunting us down and eating us and everything like that. That's what they do. That's what their nature, you know. People take care of their own and look after their own at the expense of other people. It's been proven 300 years and proven for 1,000 years, and it's going on now. And what makes you think if it's going on for the last 200 years, now, this day and age, when you have the group BLM, you know, that people are going to come now and actually now, white people are going to now, the ones that are racist whites are going to come now and say, well, you know, we need to stop oppressing these Negroes because of this organization, Black Lives Matter. It really has touched my heart. No, they don't care, you know? there has to be another way now to empower yourself than sitting here making organizations like Black Lives Matter to protest your mistreatment. It's like the kid going to the bully in the playground and saying, "Stop bullying me." I mean, Jesus Christ, he just sit there and slap you again and say, you know, grow some balls, man, you know? I think Black community understand just, you know, people are just not going to like us, or not going to like us. And I think there's just be a more effective way of protesting. I think you protest an injustice by building something of your own, by empowering yourself so you're not susceptible to people trying to victimize you. That's my beef with like the Black Lives Matter movement. It just, I mean, oppression's going on for hundreds of years, and it's not going to stop now because of protests. To stop oppressing me, you know? Give me a break. Needs to be a different type of movement agenda, because I just think, as my friend said, I understand what caused it, but I just think there needs to be a stronger way to protest than sitting here meekly putting up your hands, don't shoot. I mean, give me a break, you know? Now, it's funny. Bringing All Lives Matter. I don't know where to begin with this. I just think it's freaking preposterous. The thing of All Lives Matter. I mean, all right, like I said, I understand why Black Lives Matter came up. You know, it came up to say that our lives matter too. I mean, these idiot people come up who say, well, all lives matter too, all lives matter, not Black Lives, all lives matter. But it's like, you know, you're an idiot, because you're anybody who espouses this freaking hashtag or this view are freaking idiots, because they don't understand that when you're saying Black Lives Matter, you're not saying that, oh, that your life doesn't matter as well. You're not saying, you're basically saying that our lives matter just as well as your lives matter. You're not denigrating one group of lives because you're uplifting your lives. You're saying that, you know, our lives matter just as well. So the whole thing that saying to people, shut your mouth, all lives matter too. Yo, we understand that. That's what the point of Black Lives Matter is that all lives matter as well, including Black Lives Matter. So idiots to come around and say the stupidity of all lives matter. I don't know why people are embarrassed about saying that. I mean, it's just like me going on a cancer walk to support the cure for cancer, and to funding for a cure for cancer, which, my gosh, a whole other story about the corruption of the pharmaceutical industry. But anyway, and some idiot coming in like with another thing like, no, well, all diseases matter, or HIV matters too, or what's this called? Multiple sclerosis matters too. Of course those freaking diseases matter, but we're specifically now addressing the cancer walk and how we need to deal with the cancer. We're not denying the danger and importance of dealing with other diseases too. We're talking about this one. It's like the whole hurricane situation in Houston. When people were hashtagging or whatever supporting Houston, and someone says, well, all cities in America matter. I mean, Jesus Christ, just such an idiocy in this country about the way people think and the fear behind people's mindsets. And it goes to just the whole denial of like white privilege, and how people get defensive when they say, when people talk about white privilege, to deny it, which, you know, I mean, it exists. And I mean, I understand why it exists. People look after their own. This country was created by rich white males at the expense of everybody else, including poor whites. And I kind of understand it's human nature to want to look after your own. This country was created for the privilege for that, you know? So therefore, it exists. It just simply exists. There were laws passed in this, I think, in the beginning of this country, I think it was only property owning white males that were able to vote, and then they progressed to include more people into it. But this country was created for white males, so of course they create privilege for themselves. So now the whole thing about all lives matter to me speaks to a guilt and a denial of what the privilege a person gets. Yo, man, take your privilege. I'm just for everybody else building themselves up to give themselves the privilege, you know? Not sitting here weekly saying Black Lives Matter, look at us too, care for us too. I'm just saying that, you know, to just wake up and just accept what's at hand and just stop being in denial, you know? And so all lives matter. I mean, it just speaks to the sickness of people in this country on all ends. And this is the thing. This is a call out to everybody, because I just don't think one group has a monopoly of being wrong. I think everybody just has their head so far up there they're arses, you know. So anyway, I just have to say this and express this because I think, when you're having arguments in this, there's no really black or white, no pun intended, but there's just a lot of grays, a lot of grays in situations like this. So anyway, I gotta go. If you want to read more on my blog, you can click under the link. Oh, I said this right. Yeah, you can go to www.theviablealternative.com. You can also follow me on Twitter, TheViableAlt. Thankfully, I update both of them quite regularly now. I update my Twitter every day, and I update my blog at least once a week. Even I fell apart last week. I had a bunch of written blogs, but I never got around to posting them. But that's no story. But anyway, so also, if you like what I have to say on my YouTube channel, please subscribe. Also, if you like what I have to say, please share and click like. All right, everyone, take care. God bless and peace.